So I would normally say hello, internet friends, but I think the beginning intro of this is a little more directed at the shaman community and more specifically our enhancement community out there. So this video is a two-parter. You can see I'm joined again by Senpai Wordup down right there. Hello, sir. Hi.
Hi, that's me.
This video is two parts, like I said. The second part, after we talk right here, is actually going to be sort of a sit-down interview that Wordup and I had at the Final House at BlizzCon. We wanted to talk about just Enhancement Shaman at the time. This is before the 8.1 quote-unquote changes came out, and now we're sitting next to them. I wanted to put this in front of that video so you can have both parts of our actual discussion about enhancement, and then mostly so Wordup can sort of get out there and talk about this, and we can have a video to link to everyone to answer this question that we keep getting asked just for clarity. So the 8.1, again, air quotes, enhancement changes, at least the first step towards this. What have they done? What do you need to say about them? And what can we sort of quell and put to rest that's out there floating around right now, sir?
It's really simple. The changes are mostly just small hotfixes to at least attempt to shore up the really big gaps in talent quality and power generally. Whether he did that successfully or not is a different answer, but the biggest overriding thing is that they've at least looked at and noticed that there is a massive gap in talent strength. The main thing that needs to be taken away from it, though, is that it doesn't change what the best talents are at all. There's a very fringe argument that you could make for using some of them, but you wouldn't generally choose any of them over what we already have, because all of them that have been increased generally increase complexity or RNG or anything else for little to no gain, sometimes even still a bit of a loss. The closest argument that you could come to making is that the AoE tier, arguably all three could be used now. Fury of Air could still use a bit of a bump, but constant AoE can potentially have its uses, but still Crashing Storm and Sundering are going to outdo it. Crashing Storm has its big problems, Sundering has its big benefits, so generally you're not going to take much from these changes, especially with the addition of the new trait that we're going to all be leaning to, which means that the closest thing to a change in Landslide is outweighed by the fact that there's a trait that benefits Forceful Winds more.
Yeah. This is, I brought the blue post up here too. I forgot that I wanted to have both of these shown. The big over under, yeah, we talked about, you said Crashing Storm. Fury of Air, though, would just, So we might use Crashing Storm on actual, like, consistent AoE if every fight comes down. Nothing really changes overall. I know people kind of want Hailstorm back, but I don't think this bump is enough to really make it worth the extra button press and Maelstrom expenditure. It kind of
the main thing with Hailstorm that is always going to be a thing is, unless it's massively better than Searing Assault, it requires extra globals. It's punished more by downtime, and we're already incredibly punished by downtime because, as Roosters bring up in Earthshrine quite a bit, a big thing with the way that enhancement plays right now is that momentum is really important to when you play. So any downtime when everything stops and you reset is really, really bad for us, because you waste those globals, which is more Stormbringer procs, which is more chances to proc more Stormbringers, and any time that you aren't rolling those is less chances to get basically what is the entire fuel of our damage, which is Stormbringer. And so Hailstorm doubling down on that without really showing up any of that problem means that it has to be way better than Searing Assault.
Right.
And it isn't right now. It's arguably the same or slightly worse.
Yeah, and it has to be.
No, we can't argue that you'd use it with Natural Harmony either, because I'm sure that'll come up.
It's not enough of a gain even, because even when we run wolves, when we run elemental puppies, we still get that Natural Harmony proc when we go to Frostwolf anyway, and that's kind of all we can see of it. It's kind of like with the ring with last expansion. Same argument, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but we wanted to basically just go ahead and get this out here. It does kind of suck that our only little mini game we are getting in Lightning Shield is being removed. The lightning shield no longer generates any bonus maelstrom when it overcharges is going to be a little bit funky because then we'll have to build during the lightning shield proc, which does also lower lightning shield's damage because we're not actually using finishers, Lava Lash or Storm Strike, which gain the benefit of doing the extra damage. If you're hitting a Boulder Fist, you don't get lightning shield procs on a Boulder Fist hit, right? Because that's a spell, technically. Is that correct?
It triggers from, I believe, any attack.
Okay.
So, given that those do trigger Stormbringers, as far as I'm aware, they're on the same bracket where it will trigger it. But even still, generally, the biggest value in Lightning Shield was the damage proc, and that hasn't really changed. And we already have a problem with Maelstrom Overflow, so removing that isn't the end of the world. The Forceful Winds nerf is arguably the one that you'd feel a bit, but again, with the new trait and the fact that we're getting more traits giving us more access to it that really heavily prop it up, you probably aren't even going to feel that either. So I wager that the most players, when they log in after these changes, unless they really want to play Boulder Fist, Landslide, 3 Strength of Earth, and go super into that, aren't going to feel much of a change, if any at all.
Right. The other big one you're looking at right here next to us, outside of the actual changes, the big wall of text, is that they have not nerfed enhancement. I know people have been asking you about that, but currently we had the most egregious negative aura in the entire game's history, possibly. We actually were almost close to 50% at one point.
Yes, there's no aura has ever come close to it.
Yeah, and so these aren't nerfs, fellow Shaman player. These are the aura being rolled in baseline and our aura being reset to presumably 0 for now.
Yes, it's back to dead 0. The 5% buff that they said they were doing was part of them readjusting the spell values so that they could set the aura to 0. It's something that we've asked for since day 1 of the expansion, because a 47% aura, which is what it was at, is way too high for like the average person to read tooltips and catch what goes into it. So back at 0 usually means as well that they can do go back to doing incremental buffs if need be. Obviously, that doesn't fix the problem, but it gives them an easier time doing it. So that's a really healthy change that they needed to do, and I'm glad they did.
And we're hoping that this is them sort of, imagine like a painter's paint pad, right? Enhancement kept getting more paint here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. This is them just scraping all of it off, hopefully. So now they can give us the iteration. Hopefully, not 8.1, unless it's all of a sudden going to pop out of nowhere. They still have a couple of weeks of making this video before 8.1 goes live. But that's what we're going to hear a lot about in the next section of this video. And Wordup and I were actually at BlizzCon is talking about iteration and whatnot. We're not going to talk about that here because that's in the real life interview sit down. So hopefully this cleans this up and they can go forward. The weird part about that comes up now is that they did all this talent rebuffing and reorganizing and re-imbalancing, but that would be kind of ridiculous if they all of a sudden removed or changed a talent. So we're probably not going to see what we think. But I hope that's not the case.
I expect this is a blank slate that they've done. They've just set everything so that from there, what they have now functions a little bit. It's a bit later than we wanted, but at least it gives them room.
Okay.
I really hope that that's the case, at least, anyway.
Yep. I get asked a lot about what little things that I would like to be seen change, and it's just like it's a laundry list of small tweaks, either talents here or functionality there. And it all just comes down to what Blizzard wants to do in picking what they want enhancement to be, because no other DPS spec in the game juggles all 3 styles of buff, maintenance, and uptime, RNG proc, and answering to RNG procs, and a builder spender on top of it, which doesn't even really work some of the time. You just forget about the fact that we're a builder spender. So we're 3 pillars that sometimes just loses 1 and then it comes right back, and it's just not, they need something there, and we hope that that's what we're going to be getting. It's just kind of annoying that we have to keep waiting, and we had the same thing in Legion happen when we had to wait until like the Nighthold tier post Emerald Nightmare to give us anything really, and it's just side of the times with us over and over again. We're kind of used to this, I think, unfortunately.
The one really hopeful thing is that whilst it's not been addressed this patch, they are absolutely aware that there is a serious problem with resource.
Sure.
It's not something that they don't know or they aren't saying. Whilst it's not been strictly explained to in public, it is a concern for them, and they are looking at it, which usually indicates, since it's a bigger issue, that they have got some attention to pay to it in the future.
Now, you guys, Simcraft guys, have jumped on this already, and Russo was hard at work when these were coming out. So now, to give like a current ballpark of if Enhancement Shaman A took their Shaman onto the PTR right now with this new re-aura tweak and talent adjustment, what is like our numbers looking? Because you guys have run initial preliminary sims to see what the damage numbers was, just basically to fact check Blizzard to make sure they didn't mess this up. Because
numbers wise, it does not really change unless you add the new trait in, and the new trait does give us a bit of a bump, mostly because it's replacing what was a completely dead trait in Lightning Conduit, which is gone as well now.
Okay.
PTR wise, I would cautiously say that the raid itself actually does have room for enhancement to be quite good if the numbers don't start falling behind drastically. And obviously we lose array, so actually gauging the gap from live raids to PTR raids is quite difficult. But numbers wise, if you assume that you've got a full setup of decent gear, you're probably going to feel like you've got a bit of a buff as long as you have the right traits. Otherwise, you're probably going to feel about neutral to where you were.
Now, the right trait, the new trait that's coming, to make sure you shout it out so we all know, because the second half of this video, we won't talk about it, is what exactly? So we are all on the same page?
Thunderon's Fury. Now, we haven't really talked about it much with the theory crafting side, because generally it's quite simple, but it is a piece where you do want one of those traits on. It's a 1.1 kind of trait right now. Just one? Are we gonna want to stack 3? Or... No. Most of the value is coming in the totem proc, which is why we want that. But like a lot of classes, they've all got 1.1s as well. This is just another one in that vein. Okay. So we and now that you're gonna have 6 tier 1 traits or outer ring traits by the end of battle, it's gonna be really easy to get your hands on at least one. Because there's a new Siege of Tazara lore array that you're gonna want to have at least one of those socketed as well. At least one. If not no, there's no array this time. Well, there's still. Oh, is the buff in the raid itself then? Because there's still a similar thing. People. No, there's battle traits, but there's no. Because I've heard different things now. That's what I'm wondering from PTR testing. Yeah. But if you haven't seen it, then maybe it's not in, or it was in earlier and now it's been removed. That's something we'll have to wait and see then. Because that was the weird part, and that's why you brought it up, that having array and having all that 750 secondary and then losing it in the raid is definitely a bit of a whoa. So yeah, okay. You really feel that, yeah. But, okay. And it's a shame that they haven't put it in. I'd hope they do, but right. They don't sound like that's what they're aiming for. Do we have anything else you want to touch on with these? I always bring up that the 100 talents, right, or the bottom tiers, we can use sort of, this doesn't really crop the right way, I don't think, but we can use whatever we would like. So, yeah, so I've done sims, at least on live. Earth and Spike, Elemental Spirits, and Ascendants are all so close together. It's like 1% apart, even though Earth and Spike doesn't feel that great right now. We usually take Puppers or Ascendants, but that's my one thing I want to make sure you guys know. You can use any 3 of these, barring an encounter, just your playstyle. Usually it comes down to the rest of them. And our AoE tier being closer, if you want to go back to Fury. I know some of you are already using Crashing Storm right now, but Overcharge, Hailstorm, not so much. Hot Hand, Boulder Fist. And then they tried to buff Totem Mastery, Landslide. Yeah, just there's not much that you're gonna really alter. Okay. Generally. For the layman player. Sounds good. Anything you want to give a direct line to Earthshrine to tag this part off? Anything you want to say? Because I know past Wordup said quite a bit in the next part of this video, but... Well, Earthshrine has been generally, I think, given how negative the public perception is when things are bad, they've been a lot more positive than... I'd expect players to be, which I'm quite happy with. I think that's like a really good thing to have, where people will actually just have a discussion rather than chew each other's face off over how much they hate everything and how everyone's wrong, which is really good. It's helped a lot by a lot of the MVPs and the mods who do keep a line on that kind of thing. The pins are well maintained. Shout out to reading the pins, by the way, for anyone who goes in Earthshrine. And that's really something that should carry on going forward. That it's great to be critical, but it's even better to really temper it with an actual point, which is what Earthshrine, I think, has managed to do by and large, and dodge the extreme negative vibes that some forums tend to have.
The one thing I guess we can end on too, I was looking at Ride the Lightning, which has definitely been nerfed a bit because of our PvP power, which is the strangest thing, that we're so strong in PvP and arenas, but then we're just in PvE, we're like, is that Ride the Lightning is definitely now, it's 2 or more targets, not 1 nearby enemy, and we also lost static cling, like, completely.
Yeah, that I think that's the one that people are going to really feel when it comes to PvP. There's no compensation for that going. I mean, obviously, my PvP experience is the amount that I needed to do to get good items from the weekly box.
Same. I don't really. Yeah.
I think that they went very overboard with those changes.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people don't like the fact that enhancement was really bursty and it was really dangerous in arenas and things like that. And I can understand that sentiment. And which, to those people who I have seen in the forums, like we said before, these aren't buffs. So enhancement's not getting stronger, but losing those talents will make it weaker.
In PvP.
In PvP, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to cut over to the other half of this video. So thank you for watching this part. This has been like the 8.1 update. And then the video chunk is about to happen is Senpai and I talking at the final house at BlizzCon before this was noticed. So keep that in mind timeline-wise. But for this part, thanks for sitting down with me a little bit again here, Wordup. And hopefully this video helps quell some of the happening right now and information. But enjoy the next half of the video. And of course, thank you all very much for watching this half. If you just wanted to do the 8.1 stuff, say bye, Wordup. Say bye.
Bye, team. I'll see you again soon. So it's just very hip and fresh.
I don't know if those words describe us, but let me clap a couple times. Oh my goodness. So hello, internet friends. This is the first time we've ever done this. We've had this face and this face together talking about Enhancement Shaman stuff way back in the day, but because Wordup and I were in the same house, in the same space, in the same time, I wanted to put together a little bit of a statement, I guess, or a little bit of like a mock interview discussion about...
A statement? That's very serious.
I guess so. Well, 8.1, we don't have anything about enhancement yet. And of course, hopefully all the background noise isn't too crazy. I'm just at the final house still in California. But before you literally leave in like half an hour, 40 minutes to go back.
To the other side of the world. Yes.
But we had a couple of back and forth when we talked a few times about enhancement, and it's actually funny because Kane is here and he's still got his shaman, but he's playing Shadow Priest now, and Shadow Priest has some really good changes on the horizon, and Marksman Hunter had some pretty good changes on the right now, and Feral Druid got looked at.
Feral Druid looks pretty good.
Havoc got nerfed a little bit. Arms Warrior got nerfed a little bit.
Still gonna be good.
But we don't have anything yet.
No, not a single sausage. Completely empty.
No, I don't. Is that a phrase?
It's a turn of phrase.
Is it?
Yeah, our phrases are weird, so I'm used to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, but we have to be like categorically the last thing they're gonna post now.
There'll be nothing after it, and we won't get to test it either, which is really bad. Because whatever they put in, then good or bad, that's what we're stuck with. So it might even make it worse than it is right now.
What I'm hoping for, though, we're both in the same ballpark, hoping for like that Emerald Nightmare bump we had in Legion that actually shored up a good thing with the Rock Biter, Boulder Fist change, all that kind of base stuff.
Yeah. It needs to be more than what they did in Uldir already.
Right.
More than just a little damage bump.
Yeah.
Though they need to actually do something.
But because,
which is what's scary.
Yeah. But because the reason why I wanted to make this with Wordup while we're both sitting here is that there is... I don't know if the dispel is the right word, but statement is the serious thing. But I was just having a discussion about what, and so that we can spread this into the Earthshrine, the Shaman community, get this out there, just to, like, I don't know, calm the nerves a little bit by chance. Like, we had a couple of things back and forth. What do you want to say? everyone else out there playing Enhancement right now, or what direction are we hoping that Blizzard takes us?
Right now, the spec just needs so much. It's really hard to like pin it down. It needs to be defined because right now it's just really vague. What does it do? What's it good at?
Right.
That's the most important thing because I couldn't answer that for you or for most people. It's very like jack of all trades and well, not even jack of all trades at this point. It just does everything kind of okay.
Yeah, they're very versus like 2 expansions ago when we basically were and we had a conversation about Fire Nova.
Yeah.
We were made and balanced around Fire Nova. Only good on fights with Fire Nova, and we're pretty mediocre on everything else. But then we even reported in Warlords that Fire Nova was too strong and was basically going to pigeonhole us. So when they finally cut back on Fire Nova, we had nothing.
Yeah, but we did have something in Legion, at least like a bit.
Yeah,
we
Legion
weren't quite the best, but every time we've had something, right now, everything that we can do good, someone else can do way better.
Right.
So like 2-target cleave, you've got Arms Warriors, they like sweep the floor with us. AoE into single target, sub-rogues are infinitely better than we are. We're not even like in the same ballpark, and that was supposed to be our thing. It was in Warlords, and it was kind of in Legion. Right now, it's just like on something like Zul, it really shows it off. Ours just simply sucks in comparison.
I still played Enhancement for Zul because it's better to at least do that and get some single target benefit than play Havoc and just kill things with no benefit. But we had like an alt casual used to raid last expansion. Her rogue came in and she still beat me, but that's just because of rogue. I mean, so we basically added we had 4.5 to 5 rogue with me in there on Enhancement, but I watched your Warcraft log of one of your earlier kills and watched you have to walk and crash and walk back.
Yeah, I'd have to turn away to
walk
not kill things.
Yeah, because you want to crash for the Stormstrike damage amp, but not keep putting the Crash Lightning AoE into the crowds. So, but the rogues just stand there with middle and just fan.
And it does so little damage, whereas ours is detrimental. We have to outplay it for a much lower gain.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was one good pull I had where we pushed with 12 up and I timed Ascendance. I did Ascendance for that first kill, realizing that it's probably just the same as you just ran Wolves. I ran Wolves
because I was going for I was gambling.
Yeah.
Trying to go as high roll as possible.
Yeah, because if you got double Storm Wolf.
It was, that was pretty good.
But then
still not rogue level.
We have to gamble on a 90-minute cooldown to get any. Yeah, it's so. Do you have a laundry list of things that we can sort of hope for that? Because we made that huge post, we all put together that Reddit sort of Wowhead class feedback. But what kind of bullet points does hopefully Seth and his team look at that we can?
First and foremost, Maelstrom needs a real look at. It needs to be pulled. Everyone needs to pull back and they need to look at it and actually find out what they want the resource to be.
Yeah.
Because what it is right now isn't a resource. It's just a reskinned cooldown for Labalash. It doesn't have any meaningful impact.
Yeah.
There's no for a builder spender, which is what the spec is generally titled as.
Right.
That seems like the category that it's put in. The spending part doesn't matter. So,
compared to the builder spender of Havoc, which does build and then spends.
Well, you look at there's examples of ones that build, spend, so Elemental and Fury, and you get a big thing at the end that you really want, that makes you want to generate.
Yep.
And then you've got Havoc where you build, spend up and down.
Yep.
As much as you want. But right now we just build naturally, and then it'll keep going. Maybe we'll spend a little bit here, but it's not like it's our priority. We're not really gunning to spend.
Yeah.
There needs to be a way to turn all of that generation that we get into something that we really want to do. It has to be the absolute peak, most important thing.
No.
And be that a way of generating Stormbringers actively, or any other type of thing. Anything that would make it more controlled and valuable is the first and foremost. That's way up here. Everything else is here, but the Maelstrom thing is up here. And given that the patch is only a month out, I would be really surprised if anything is coming for that now.
Yeah.
Because it's a big change.
Shout out to Healy. He put out a tweet, I think just today or yesterday, asking the devs, are we going to see something on the PTR soon to be able to test it and give you feedback? Because the closer it gets to launch, the less likely we'll be able to actually help you from our side to your side to bounce this back and forth. Because right now, Shadow Priests, Marks Hunters, Warriors, Feral Druids, they all have the stuff they can play with.
They've had their hands on it, yeah, so they can at least say something back about it.
Yeah.
But whatever we get now, I would be very surprised if there's any iteration on it.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting another patch, which, I mean, past that, talents really need, like...
That's the point I always bring up.
A big look at.
Just iteration. We just need options to do things.
Yeah, because right now there's so many boring options.
Yeah.
Like, there's no better word to describe it. There are a lot of boring options that also suck. They aren't good and they aren't fun.
They just removed passives and put other passives there. Basically.
There's some new passive. They even like removed some talents that are at least kind of like feel like they have an impact.
Right.
And like Old Tempest wasn't exciting, but it did lead into your most important damage source. And you replace it with Searing Assault, which is a numerically good talent, but just so dull.
Yeah. It's just a bastardized Flame Shock.
Yeah.
At this point.
The only talent that was kind of interesting that they put in was Lightning Shield.
Yep.
Which had some really interesting iterations that never made it in with the Lightning Wolf spawns.
Interesting or broken, but yeah.
Yeah, a mix of both. But
it's probably our best new talent overall, because it gives you a window to play around. You have like a little weak aura tracker, because I use your weak auras. When that thing lights up, you know you have like a moment of just like, you don't have to build anymore. Just go ham. And then
it would be really nice if, in that window where you don't have to build anymore, we had something that we'd want to spend it on.
And we're just using Lava Lash.
And yeah, it's just not. That's part of the problem, that we've got all these windows where we get flooded, and because we don't want to spend it, it just wastes.
Yeah.
And a resource being wasted is the kind of thing that everyone sort of responds when you say that. As sort of, what? That's because there's no other spec that ever is operated like that. That's not how it should work.
And I'm not trying to sit here and bring this out there to anyone that's going to listen to, me talking to Wordup about this in this very sort of negative connotation, because numbers, we can still do just fine. It's just that in an overall hierarchy, as you pointed out earlier, there are other specs that just do what we do just better, and that's an issue now, because the niche internet comments, stop it. That's becoming more of a forefront word now. Everyone's trying to find that niche. They want to put that. We can bring this for this thing, and we have Warlocks for the gateways, and we have Balustrades for their solar beams and their cross dotting, all this other blah blah blah. Well, Enhancement Shaman just play Havoc instead. Just play an Arms Warrior, because we don't do anything that anyone else doesn't do already, and we used to. I've even seen murmurs like, just bring Stormlash Totem back as like a forced thing, and we don't want that, because that wouldn't be fun. Just bring it back as a buff battery.
Yeah, the thing is that our damage delivery is bordering on the worst possible types of damage delivery, like all in one. Because we're like a long sustain spec, we've not really got like super punchy frequent burst windows, or
still very spongy. Any
pooling, so we can like burst the target down with spawns. And our AoE is super sustained. So we've got Sundering, which is a huge improvement from Legion.
Finally, took them 2 expansions.
Yeah,
yeah.
It went from being good in alpha to like 2.5 years of being useless. But, other than that, the damage is just flatline AoE. It's very like, it's good. It's better than it was, but it's really just very dull. When you look at other specs like burst AoE, a spec could have awful AoE in general, but if they've got burst AoE, there will always be something that it's good for. Like, you could remove all of the other AoE tools from Havoc and Arms if you wanted to, and they'd still be good just with the burst AoE tools, because there'd be something that it
it's
would
just
use
the defining moment, I feel, and we've been playing this spec for forever, is that Blizzard has this, they need to find out what they want us to focus on or be a main driving force for, because I think like the Mop, we were obviously the Burst King, right?
Yeah.
Promo Fire Elemental, old
Big
school Ascendance, big on that, like that 3-minute whap, right? And that had a thing. Warlords, we had the crazy amount of like just cumulative numerical AoE nonsense that worked really good on certain fights. We had something there. Legion, they kind of smushed stuff, and Doomhammer made the spec, and now they just pulled the Doomhammer away, gave us back 2 little things we had,
and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah. So
we're like this...
in Legion, we became like we were sort of the sustain thing, but it was like an up and down spiky sustained.
Yeah, but we had a mini
and
game
we
you
also
could
had
play
like a
with.
small cooldown that was like
Yeah.
in Doomwinds where you could hold that and you could really punch something really hard.
Yeah, you get a glove proc, you get an Earth and Spike window, you get a Doomwinds in there, and we had a mini game to play. We had a little juggling moment.
Whereas right now, there's none of that.
There's none of that.
Right now, you could watch a video of a shaman player do like a 6-minute encounter, and they wouldn't be able to tell you whether it was like the 2nd or the 5th minute into a fight because it feels the same the whole way through.
Yeah.
There's no up and down. There's no ebb and flow to the spec. It's just it's the most diluted version of a priority list now. But
the good thing to take away from that still is that it's incredibly consistent versus other specs that have like really awkward RNG potential swings. That they pulled that away from us because we used to have a terrible amount.
We still have RNG. It evens out over the course of it.
Yeah.
But the shorter the fight gets, the bigger the RNG.
Oh yeah, I always tell people I always sim at 6 minutes to line up. Any of our cooldown rotational builds always feel at 6 minutes because if you have a little under that or a little over that, there's a huge valley. And that's how you should always usually sim, is based on your cooldown cadence to see what you get if you get the most benefit out of this chunk of time. But there's something there between enhancement, but then like Fury Warrior and Havoc Demon Hunter that Blizzard wants to find. They just haven't.
They just need to have actually spent the time to find it, which it doesn't feel like that time has been given.
Right.
And it's not really like a fire and forget thing. It needs to be sat down and found.
Yeah.
Because right now I couldn't define how our damage is supposed to go.
Yeah.
I really struggle with it. I still enjoy it to an extent, but the RNG is still there. But there's no benefit to it, and the actual raw gameplay is down in quality from Legion.
It is, and it's always like weird little negative points. We still have, I think we have the most, I use the word egregious just because it adds punch, but we still have the most negative aura minus tuning I think I've ever seen in the game's history.
By a large margin.
Which
minus
is
47 is where it peaked. It's down 45 now?
45, something like that, yeah.
But
that's so ridiculous. If those don't know, that's the aura behind the scenes that tweaks your overall damage output before it leaves your character. So almost half of Enhancement's damage is gone before it leaves our character into the game environment, which means that if they just remove that, we have the strongest DPS in the game.
Yeah. That seems like that's more of a meta thing, but that seems like the kind of thing that all of those auras should have been swept aside.
Yeah, and
at the expansion, it should have been 0, and then from there, the knobs can be tweaked. Because now, they've got like legacy auras from Legion hanging over, and specs have been redesigned with the aura in mind, so that's a bit strange. I mean, right now it's negative mastery for a lot of spells.
Yeah, a lot of it, basically.
Which is
it's also another
silly.
reason why they changed their mastery coefficient for scaling, and our aura solo. That's Shaman's wondering why we don't care about mastery anymore, where it's been our bread and butter for so many expansions, is because of that. It's just math. Math counteracts the other math, so we can't really use what our best stat would be to smooth out and amplify our core, just because it gets so gutted.
Yeah.
It's those little frustrations that come around. And both Wordup and I both play a lot of Havoc. What else are you playing on the side for your other characters right now?
Right now I play Havoc because it's good. I wish I would be playing Feral, but I put the time in. I keep up 8.1 Feral. I will be playing.
Yeah, finally. Took him a lot. I'm sorry, Feral Druids.
Right now it's more of like I play it, but it's not fun.
Right.
That's a.
Right.
8.1 Feral is quite a bit better, quite a bit more fun.
They're getting there.
They also struggled with the loss of the artifact and the loss of the Legion pacing.
Yep.
So much that that's a shame too.
Yeah.
That seems like that some of the specs when they lost the artifact and when they like retweaked it for BFA, completely lost any direction for some of them.
A few of them did, for sure.
And enhancement was in that pile.
Yeah. I mean, I still play it, and on my stream I keep getting asked about, are you a Havoc main now? Actually, one of my mods made a command. Where's base Shaman, I think it's what it's called, or where's the Shaman? And it just says that I'm playing both characters. Legion, I wanted to balance Havoc and Enhancement for two different reasons, to have a roster of two characters. but because of artifact power and legendaries, it was way harder to balance 2 characters. But now
it's more reasonable.
They're like 2 or 3 eye levels apart, same neck level. There's like 1 difference in the array amount that they have. It's so much easier to balance 2. And you haven't gone for 2 weeks too, so they're still the same level. They both got upgrades from the Mythic Plus caches last week, so they're both like the same core. Just depends on plug and play which one works better. And right now, so many things has been Havoc.
Yeah, well, by far right now. Yeah. Havoc's more of a power play spec, and they've got the debuff, which. Yep. That whole.
Well, I brought that up in my dev interview.
That spiel is not.
Blizzard really likes the new debuffs and buffs, and I don't know.
They need work, but that's for another time.
That's another topic, yeah. But resource-wise, of course, we have things coming out. We'll update. This is like the pre 8.1 discussion, right? Just to sort of share our thoughts with you guys. We do have. Can we give information about the website?
The website, the website that Russo was working on, he's not playing Enhancement either right now. He's playing Havoc. That's usually a really strong litmus test as to the state of a spec.
Yeah.
Where of the 5 people who do Theorycraft work on Enhancement, 3.5 of them don't play Enhancement right now.
Yeah.
Because you've got Russo who's playing Demon Hunter.
And keep them geared, but they're not pushing content on them really.
I'm not sure even if they do.
Well, you did your
Well,
Realm First 15 and stuff.
I've stuck to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've hung on to it, and
Yeah.
I did my Gahoon clear. I didn't get benched.
Yeah.
Stubbornly, but Russo's a Demon Hunter, Riot's a Demon Hunter, Purge is a mage, Hakumi's a rogue, I think as well right now.
Makes sense.
So I really don't want to play into what Ian said in the Q&A, because I have my very strong feelings on that statement.
Oh, if those that can't understand his accent, he says Ian.
Ian.
Yeah, right.
They aren't re-rolling to make a statement or to scare people off from it. It's just that they can't justify it to themselves.
Right.
It's not like they're trying to make everyone think it's worse than it is. They simply can't see a reason to play it.
Yeah.
It's not like a.
That's
a
at a
trick.
higher end, right?
They're in the.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of you that want to play Enhancement, and right now you totally can. And I've gone over a couple of different options. People wonder why I was taking Ascendants for certain fights, or why I was taking Pharaoh Spirits, and those are like 1% apart.
They're really, fairly close. Yeah.
And you can play Earth and Spike right now. It just feels kind of. But it's still like it's a percent-ish lower. It's really not.
Yeah, it works. It's just a lot less versatile.
Right. We have no Doom Winds. We have no Glove Procs.
Yeah, and it's also like
and it needs
one
to
target.
Be an AoE.
Yeah.
It needs to be like a cleave AoE explosion that ruptures everything around you, and then you can cleave into it with. So it can be an AoE talent, and it'll be good. See, iteration.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get carried away, but
yeah, the people who take things very literally, like the Reddits and the MMO champions and the forums and so on, who
you've been literally sitting at the table while we were at the final house, like answering and talking to people and like quelling little fires here and there.
Because it's constantly
on vacation.
Because Discord hasn't stopped since.
Yeah, of course.
Because the one person who'll go on Reddit and say that they got declined from a dungeon because they're a shaman, and then someone else says, "Well, he did it. I'm going to decline." The rollover effect of that is ridiculous because the spec isn't too bad to do Mythic Plus right now, at least. Not for the average player base who's browsing those forums. They can easily do it with a shaman.
It's just the stigma and the zeitgeist. Just
people
kind of
have decided that because someone told them, then it must be awful, and it's not. It can kill Gahoon. Is it the best for Gahoon? That's an.
I mean,
but it's doable, and it's even more so now because it's easier now than it was when I did it, and it was doable before I did, as far as I was concerned. If someone who was better than I am was still playing it. And so it isn't unplayable. The problem isn't the damage output, although the damage output does still needs a little bit of massaging. The problem is the gameplay, the design.
Yeah.
That's the problem that always pervades these discussions, is that so many people seem to think that what people are lobbying for is more damage. They want to be the best damage.
And it's not that.
But it's not. The problem is that the spec simply needs to be higher quality.
I ramped and raved about the Fury Warrior rework in BFA because there's a few different talent combinations that all still feel like a Fury Warrior, but it changes how the Fury Warrior feels a little bit.
Yeah.
And that and Havoc both just have different builds that either drastically or still synergistically change how your button rotation works, how your gameplay loop works, and they feel so much more well done. Enhancement, you can spec literally anything, and you're basically playing the exact same way.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
It's true. Yeah, there's no rotational alteration. There's no damage profile change.
Outside of Purge trying to say, run Earth and Spike and overcharge. Don't listen to Purge.
And Hailstorm.
And Hailstorm.
Yeah, let's go the whole hog.
Just go to like 9 button rotation like old Survival, and we all know how old Survival was in Legion, don't we?
Yeah.
So
the simple point is that the gameplay never alters.
Yeah.
It's completely flatlined, and that's an awful space.
So we hope that clears up some things. If you have any questions or comments, of course, Wordup's information, description box down below. You know where to find me. And of course, we'll have every single spec show in the future. And we have some state of class episodes coming up. We're going to do like tanking, like a round table of tanking, healing, range DPS, melee DPS. So this may come back up in the melee one, but we're probably going to focus on, and hopefully the 8.1 stuff, all the good changes to all the different specs across the board with a few guests we'll have on. But Senpai, thank you for being on this little sit down in person before you literally go on a plane,
zip off
and fly across the world.
Yeah.
But
so it's raining instead of sunny.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're leaving this to go
to a miserable land. Yeah.
Well, I definitely hope I see you more. This was his first BlizzCon, by the way.
Yes.
So if you got to meet him, there you go. And if you didn't, then you probably miss your chance forever.
I might come next year.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a WoW BlizzCon next year.
Yeah, it is. So that's all the more reason to come, because it was a pretty slow WoW year.
And I can't really say anything because their next BlizzCon, World of Warcraft BlizzCon.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
There's some stuff going down. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next Bay Talks with someone. Maybe not like this, probably on video boxes, but put the thing down, Adam. Close put the card.